In 2021, I got to attend 5 days of the Toronto International Film Festival, otherwise known as TIFF, with one of my close friends. With travel still limited at the time, less people were attending, so it was more affordable to us than it would otherwise be. It cost us less than booking a room would have cost this year. After making sure we followed health and safety guidelines and driving roughly 6 hours west, we caught our first movie of 9, Costa Brava, Lebanon. And wow, we did not expect the first movie we see to set the bar so high for the festival. Set in Lebanon in the near future, as the garbage crisis worsens in the country, and more environmental sites are replaced by landfills. The movie follows a family living on the last green site as they try to fight against the government through all of this. Though this battle is not an ideal situation for a family taking care of an elderly parent, a teenage daughter, and an even younger daughter. The movie explores how the tensions of this fight for the environment affects the different family members, putting stress and pressure on the family dynamic and relationships. Not only did I find this movie beautiful and surprisingly funny, but I thought it had a fantastic ability of illustrating how the battle to save our planet and protect our environment can affect individuals in ways they don't even expect, especially with the growing presence of climate anxiety in young people. Additionally, as someone who would definitely be considered a leftist, I think the project is important in the way it helps us understand why this battle cannot be won by the individual, as it can only be done through a systemic change. I really encourage you to watch this movie if you haven't, ideally through legal means, to support the smaller production. And if you'd like to support me, I'd encourage you to subscribe. Also, my friend I went to TIFF with recently started his own YouTube channel. I'd encourage you to go check it out. The link will be in the description, along with the link for his Letterboxd. When I title my essay The Climate Crisis on an Individual Scale, I do not mean that the overall global effects of the crisis are not felt throughout the movie. The dumps that have been occupying all available areas in the country are front and center, while the side effects of that are impossible to ignore. We see symptoms of the environmental crisis that have been heavily felt in the last years by many, such as low air quality. Not to brag, but a few months ago, my city had the worst air quality in the world. While the garbage crisis in Lebanon is part of the larger environmental crisis we face, the movie does mostly keep its focus on the local effects of this. Nonetheless, for a movie that is largely about the garbage crisis, which, at the very least, is a national issue for the people of Lebanon, it succeeds on focusing on the more personal issues that come from this as well. Thus, though its themes are tied to environmental action, the movie itself is a deeply personal family drama. It gives a look at how people suffering from the direct consequences of the crisis are affected in many facets of their lives, and shows how the fight against it can tear people apart. Within the family, we have Walid. I'm so sorry if I butcher any names. The patriarch, who is the most passionate about the cause and most extreme in his stance against the actions of the government. To him, the battle comes first and foremost, which seems to bother his wife, Soraya. She was a very famous singer when they met, and she too was very active in acts of protest in her youth. Her focus is now shifting towards her family. As the government has already started using the family's land as a dump, she believes that the family should abandon it and join those protesting in Beirut. They can no longer make a difference here, but they may be able to contribute to the collective there. Additionally, it would allow for a closer to normal life for their daughters, Tala and Rim. Tala is a teenager, very much going through her own coming of age. Being homeschooled and never really leaving her home, she is searching to experience more as she approaches adulthood, which creates conflict with her strict father quite often. Additionally, this creates contrasts with her little sister, Rim, who very clearly looks up to her father, while maintaining a close relationship to his mother, her grandmother. Outside of the main cast, the family also includes Alia, Walid's sister, who works in Colombia for a multinational corporation. This causes a strain on the relationship between the siblings, much to their mother's dismay. We see already that the cast is filled with characters who all have very different relationships with the battle for climate action. While Walid and Soraya both seem to share a stance that this battle is important, they believe it should be conducted through different methods, with the husband believing in a direct approach while the wife advocates for collective action. They also have different limits for how far it is justified, which is what truly puts a strain on their relationship. The different arcs the daughters are going through does not help the strain at all, as it essentially serves to pit each daughter on the side of one of their parents. Rim is at the age where her father is her role model and can do no wrong, while Talat almost views him as tyrannical for the lack of independence provided to her. Of course, the girl's grandmother contributes to this as well, not only due to her declining health, but also due to her relationship with the family. She believes that her son takes life too seriously, and that this is a trait he's passing on to his daughters. She helps Tala get a phone to see more of the outside world, while she herself frequently communicates with her daughter, Alia, who Walid particularly resents for having sold the land they live on to the government, who plans on making a so-called eco-friendly garbage disposal site. I will stop here in order to avoid going much further into spoilers, but you see how the family drama is truly at the center of this film. Having seen it at TIFF, I got to hear director Mounia Akl, I probably butchered that one as well, I'm sorry, talk about the movie briefly. The director explained that all characters have some of her in them, and their feelings for the crisis have all been feelings that she has felt at different times. I found this really interesting, because all the characters felt very distinct from one another, without feeling like caricatures. They all felt real and fleshed out, so knowing that they were all different facets of her made them all the more impressive.
شو عم تعمل وليد؟ لوين بدك توصله هيك؟ وليد؟ جيني لهون.
اتركيني خلص! أنا ليلي عم يصير؟
هلا شو عم تعمل؟
يا وليد! وليد!
Be warned, I will go much further into spoilers in this section of the essay. By the end of the movie, I think it's at least somewhat clear that Walid is in the wrong for believing that the battle should be his family's and theirs alone. Being out of the city and away from any doctor, his mother's health continues to decline. She passes away, her final words being not to take life so seriously. Adding to this, the family's battle with the government starts becoming more obviously a losing battle. To Soraya, that was always the case, but Walid still seems to hold on to the belief that they can win alone. Eventually, this all becomes too much for his wife. Throughout the movie, she is at odds with her husband and reminded of the life she once had, the life her daughters are being deprived of. Especially as she had stayed behind when Walid went to Beirut, though he only went halfway. In the climax of the movie, Soraya and Tala choose to leave. They are going into the city, and the family is torn apart as Walid and Rim stay behind. The young girl quickly starts to miss her mother. So does her father. They quickly decide to join the two women, reuniting the family, but admitting defeat in their battle for their home. In many ways, I think this illustrates to which extent the battle is too large for us to take on alone. Not only was Walid's overwhelming dedication to the battle the main reason Soraya and Tala felt locked in, but had he not given up his post, the family would have remained torn apart, Rim would have either stayed with him or gone with her mother, and both daughters would have likely continued to resent one of their parents for letting the family fall apart. While I still believe that we should each try to do our individual part in this crisis, the movie really shows how trying to take the task as ours only is unsustainable. Going back to the notion that each character is based on the feelings of director Mounia Akl regarding the garbage crisis in Lebanon, we see how these conflicts and tensions can exist within an individual as well, and the pressure that can create.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is all really fascinating stuff. Unfortunately, we have to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I just have one final question, and feel free to answer in whatever way you like. But are you hopeful about the future?
The future of the world or Lebanon?
The world and Lebanon.
Yeah, because in many ways, Lebanon is also like a microcosm of the world.
Yeah.
And I think I'm very angry, and that means I'm hopeful. The day I'll be numb is the day I won't be hopeful anymore. My only hope is that we've reached such a rock bottom that any new chapter has to start with a big interruption. I just hope it's not worse than where we are now.
I do not think the movie offers a definitive answer as to what our specific role is in the battle for the environment. Having watched it twice, I don't think the movie offers a hopeful or dreadful message about how things will go moving forward, even if I, personally, do not feel as though things are looking too good for us. Though, through the movie's execution, I do feel as though we're supposed to understand that we, as individuals, cannot change the tides of things single-handedly, no matter how hard we fight. The climate crisis did not happen overnight. It is the result of our emissions since the start of the Industrial Revolution, and how this revolution then shaped the world. That is not to say that our decisions and actions do not have an impact. We shouldn't start throwing out every plastic bottle we own because recycling them doesn't save the day alone. But we do need to understand that recycling them doesn't save the day alone. The battle to change the direction we are heading in, the battle that is very much a battle for our future, is one that requires large-scale action. And deciding to center it around yourself won't lead you to victory, it'll probably lead you to self-destruction. I love movies. I love books, I love games, I love songs. What I really love is these stories and the way people tell them. With Costa Brava, Lebanon, director Mounia Akl gives us a story with an incredibly large subject, told on a personal level. I am in awe of what was done with this movie. Akl gives us pieces of herself in every character, making us truly experience this movie on the smaller scale it has, making it all the more powerful. The drama isn't caused by their home flooding, or by their town burning to the ground due to wildfires. It's caused by the pressure the characters feel to be the change. This shows us how this struggle affects us beyond its physical manifestation, without ignoring them, while also reminding us that this isn't something we can or should be doing alone. Thank you so much for watching. Recommend any international film or series you may enjoy. Who knows? I might make a video about it.